Я обещала вам беседу с Андреем Янкиным.
I've promised you a conversation with Andrei Yankin, System Jet Information Security Specialist, and I didn't lie to you in my studio, Andrei Yankin. Hello, Andrei. Hello, everybody. What are we going to speak about? I don't know. Everything you will ask me, I will reply. Okay, what about your day? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. You're on such hills. I feel my day is here. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, can you tell me, please, what about the last 6 months? Interesting question. Well, it was very interesting. In the beginning of the year, it was really interesting and promising in our industry of information security. Then everything has flipped over. We been in calmness. What was so promising that you've been expecting, and then you became calm? Last year, it was a record year for the industry. Big investments were provided and projects were interesting and big, but not only here, but also in other countries. And the year have started. We wanted to continue this way, but everything has flipped over. But I think that it just stopped for 2 weeks and then it started running 10 times faster. It's an interesting time. What is running? What is running? Tell me about the details. You've been speaking with vendors. Today we've been speaking with the MSSP providers. Today we've been speaking with representatives of the business. Everybody's telling different stories about what is the main direction of their life today. An integrator. I see you're the first integrator. Yes. We are communicating with all these colleagues constantly, and their trains are moving in different directions. Some change everything into Russian, and as integrator, I'm telling you, about all of these. Not about the space ships, but we're speaking about the information security processes, and some other people are still waiting, being shocked and do nothing. They're waiting and trying to understand where they're going to move because Western vendors are going to come back. Most are located somewhere in between these two stories, and of course it's clear that stories with different WAF, DDoS, it was like 2 days and nobody had to be proven anything. Networking story would be with them if there would be networking equipment available, and we did have big problems, and therefore people have to invent some things, and we would have mass replacements in some other places. Nobody have started doing anything in these stories because there's a first things in the queue, like real security, which just on front lines, network story, monitoring. These are the basic things. And who you have more of who's those who are standing, those who are running, and those who don't care. Well, right now I would like to tell you, I'm speaking about our clients. This is the whole spectrum from two extreme positions, from optimism and we do nothing to the same optimism, but on the other side, well, if we do everything but right now break, destroy and build from the scratch. And everybody's in this spectrum have been distributed evenly. Some of them, and are real subsystems, and we've been lucky. Information security is a happy industry because I'm communicating with my IT colleagues. When some enterprise SHD doesn't exist in the market and you do non-existent things in the market. But in information security, we have a lot of Russian software. Something is being brought from China, Israel, and somewhere else. Therefore, a lot of people, they've changed everything that can be easily replaced. We have good Russian solutions. They do have hardware to install it, but it's very interesting time. It's the time of engineers. Yes. Where did they take it from? I don't know, because we have not been doing that previously. We have a new discipline here, like in the place of a certain Western CM. To the same hardware in the course of 2 nights, we can install Russian solution. Do you remember when we've been small? We had, VHS tapes. And we had a box from the old movie. Yeah, the box from the old movie. So we had a extreme period when we could load everything with service. Everything was not optimized. But right now, the old days came back, days of optimization of every gigabyte, etc. That's why, yes, that's what it is. Some people cannot change it because they don't have hardware. Some people don't want, but they are moving this direction, something like that. And what is interesting, honestly speaking, some things to me, well, post factum, you can explain whatever you want to explain, but I don't know how to explain it because, for example, speaking about us, in addition to clear services are growing, it's easier to buy a service than a certain hardware, some other replacements, but we also see consulting, strategic consulting is growing. What is strategic consulting? When people are trying to make a certain plan for next 3-5 years, and they're making right now in its current condition. They are planning for the next 5 years. Yeah. Interesting. They have very serious approach, and I thought, well, at least 6 months should be taken before they will start doing that. But the time have compressed. Yeah, 2 weeks look like 6 months. Have you prepared any recommendations, advices for your clients? How should they properly rebuild their informational security systems? Well, there were stories with some alternative advisors, and in some other places advices to us, because some people are involved in the exploitation. It's their problem, it's our problem, because our engineers are servicing to the equipment, they react to these incidents, etc. Therefore, this is not an external problem to us. We also have to clear what is to be done with it. And what do you advise in addition to rewriting? Well, I think right now we're not speaking about some quick advices. Well, of course, we can give some abstract advices. It's a separate story. However, what would I separate? Let's not speak about those who do nothing. It's not far-fetched. The world has changed, and you have to change your story as well. The bad idea is to try to do everything at the same time, because we already have seen several cases when people try to build new information security from the scratch, and this situation is not about this. Because there's a lot of attacks right now. And you know, this rough environment, you better concentrate on something. One. Well, it's obvious what should you begin with. It's not an expert advice. It's a story about the basic real security, employee protection, protection of the networks, protect your web. And perhaps, because it's impossible to protect everything simultaneously, it's all related with monitoring. So most likely, if they will break somewhere, then you have to learn about it and you have to react to this somehow. And this is a proper position. It's more realistic position than just imagining that you can change the system or brand malware system, and next day, after you will change it, and then it will start working. It's not so probable. So you will immediately have to look at the problems with those gateways. Well, more likely this is possible to be done. And by the way, engineers, people with good hands are highly demanded. Why?
Тут как бы такая история двойная, то есть когда
because it's a double story.
Такие супер-пупер там западные.
When you have these super Western solutions with 100 billions of installations, of course, out of the box they work much better than our homemade stories. But let's be realistic. And in order for all of this to work properly and properly supported and properly reinforced, you need to apply more efforts, and there are no direct knowledges. And very often from 3 solutions, from open source, and also you attach engines on the side, and you have to collect certain working story, and at the same time, not doing it in the lab, but together with the enterprise, and it's a totally different environment. It's not a lab. So it's not following the manual. So I think the most important, valuable people are not the top managers and salesmen, but people who have right hands in the right place. And they are involved in information security. Okay, coming back to the import substitution, there's a question to which not many people can answer to me. Only Vladimir Belgin have been speaking with me about it, yeah. Yeah, he can answer you any question, that's right. And yes, he can. But I think that from you, I can get this expertise just because you have a wide understanding from the point of view of different means of protection. Did you evaluate the market of Russian means of protection? And how is it covering all the demands? What is missing in our market? What are the chances that it will come more or less fast? Can you tell me, please, how does it look like? Well, we did have this objective, and we've been working this story. And on the Russian market, there are 200 information security solutions, and I wouldn't believe before we started realizing this. However, unfortunately, the availability of these solutions realistically and applying it in the enterprise, there's a big difference because it's different. There's a wonderful solution which has no support, no documentation, and it's not a solution for a big company for top 10 banks. And how did you reduce your list significantly? Well, there are areas which are not super exotic, but they do have holes. For example, everything which is related with the defense and containerization, there's a big problem according to our point of view. NUCs, Wi-Fi protection.
Вот.
There's also problem here.
Самого горячего. Ну, с басами есть некоторые проблемы. Ну, то
There are some problems with buses, and I'm not calling this list of antiviruses and CMs. However,
есть аналоги. Ну, то есть, как
there are solutions which have analogies, and we have NGFE, but objectively speaking, there is no NGFV of the global level. But from this point of view, clients have to find some compromises and select from what is available. Just if it follows the main functions, and there are certain blocks. Well, we are looking with a certain optimism into the future, and we hope that we're not going just to have Russian vendors, even though they will grow, and we do see how their focus is shifting to Russia. People are investing more in R&D and in the market. That's why it's going to be a cool development, but I hope that
иностранные решения.
some foreign solutions will stay, because it makes a market healthier. It makes a healthy competition. And honestly speaking, we've been searching, we've been looking.
Что мы не знали.
Maybe we are so naive when we have learned that there's a full industry of information security companies like 25 years old, or in Brazil they have information security. In China they have a lot of vendors which work on China, Vietnam, and Japan market. The size of this market is like half an earth, and we could not call the name of this. We cannot even read it because it's hieroglyphic. Well, maybe they have adapted it for them. It's not difficult for them.
Так быстро не происходит.
But it doesn't happen very fast. And I believe that if there's not going to be this defensive policy, then new interesting players will come to our market. And of course, undoubtedly, Russian players will come to an absolutely new level from the market point of view and their importance, etc. Are you looking into new foreign players? Yes, we're looking in this direction, but objectively it's much simpler for us to work with distributors, so that we don't put them to the market, but distributors should put them to the market, and they should work with the whole market. And the uniqueness maybe required, it's very difficult and complicated. I understand that you're not going to be alone doing it with your own hands. Yes, this process, everybody's looking in this direction. Well, we are looking in a direction where big problems are available, but we see that many others are looking in this direction, and distributors are working with Chinese already, but they also have obvious problems.
Вот российский рынок рассматривать как интересный.
The company might look at Russian market as interesting one, but their suppliers or subcontractors might not be happy because of it. And we did have cases when we have agreed about everything, and then suddenly they were told by cheap suppliers, if you will go to Russian, we are not going to deliver chips to you. So we still have certain risks. So Russian market is much more interesting from this point of view. But if you find some gaps, you have to close those gaps. Understand you? Tell me, please, what do you think? How our market is going to change in the nearest year, or maybe, let's say, 3 years? Well, you speak in such categories. It has already changed in 3 months. You've just been telling me that your clients are making strategic plans for the 5 years. Yeah, you catch me. You catch me on the word.
Слушай, ну, тут
Okay, listen.
про какие-то не местечковые.
We should speak not about small changes like protection of this or that, but we should speak about the global story. One trend that I've been speaking about,
Что
and I will emphasize it on it once again. I think significant importance will be given to technical people. And I think in the last 15 years, it was changing. I'm the old formation person 15 years ago. However,
лет назад
everything was changing 15 years ago. Information security was like sales and engineers, which provided services to what was delivered. It was changing. And right now the processes have sped up, and cool architects, cool technical people, hardware people, those people who should replace R&D of foreign vendors in Russian companies and maybe in some other companies. There is high demand for those people, and salaries are growing. So the world is going to change. The most important people will be the people who are cool engineers. And this is the story from this point of view. It's going to be a global story. So I do hope, and there are certain assumptions for this, that we finally, not finally, maybe there was such a trend, but we'll actively move in the direction of real security, including on the level of regulators. Because right now,
вот эти
unfortunately, we do see those destroyed companies. According to papers, these companies look nice and okay, but in real life, they were not really okay. Also, another thing, I think that another problem have surfaced. Not many people have a lot of experience. Lack of experience is the biggest problem. So the feeling that I have, and I've seen on the side of our clients when they are getting subject to a lot of those things, is that everybody are kind of lost.
Там 3 года безопасник уже работает.
because the person works 3 years in the security, and this is the second serious attack that he.
Сейчас это
I
понятно.
know where he should come. Well, it's understandable.
Конечно,
There's the demand, there's a supply. They need to come here. We need to conduct pen tests, exercises, etc. And I do hope it's going to be a re-evaluation. So if your security has not been checked practically, it's not security for state companies, for commercial companies. And the main criteria is the experiment and not compliance to the checklist. And it's not just stack checklist, best practices, etc.
классная штука, я надеюсь.
And this is a cool thing, and I believe that I do have feelings in the industry, and most importantly, outside of the industry, top managers who were able to see that everything was okay 15 years ago, and right now we don't have sight, and because of last 2 weeks, something is not okay.
Такой тренд.
And perhaps this trend will be viable. Okay, thank you very much, Andrei.
Интересно.
It was interesting. I hope you, dear viewers, were also interested.